Okay, so the reason that I'm late. Hang on, I guess I should also do my Audacity. Okay, so the reason I'm late is that I just spent all this time running downstairs to find Christian. Okay, couldn't find him where he was supposed to be, where we had agreed that was his home. So I go, I look in his home away from home. He's not there. So I am like tearing stuff apart downstairs. Couldn't find him anywhere. I'm like, okay, it's getting really late. I need to be on. So I have my minions, aka my family, continuing to tear apart my office looking for Christian. I get up here and I'm like, okay, let me look one last place. Christian has been upstairs the entire time. The entire time.
God,
So I
Christian.
got winded for nothing. I am a fragile person who cannot stand like physically my body is no longer capable of excess movement. All that was for nothing. So thanks, Christian.
Man, Christian.
So inconsiderate.
You're going to hear it from me. Wow. I thought you were going to find him in the marshmallows.
Oh, God. Well, I would if you had left me any, but
oh, man.
Not buying him anymore if I can't have any either.
I hate it when I lose my Christian. Misplaced Christian. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4. I'm going through puberty. 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and we are wrapping up Christian fucking Bale Month, which just begun a week ago. It feels like this always goes by so quick, but we are wrapping up with the listener's pick, which is the movie Shaft from 2000. Thank you. I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot of that. You know what I realize right now, Carla?
What?
When we did and apologies everybody, when we did our pop culture and fandom news episode for this week, I didn't introduce you, but it was because we were already talking. So I apologize. So I'm going to introduce you now. So joining me as always during this month, my unofficial co-host for January, Carla from Behead Pod. Hi, Carla.
Hello, Erin. Welcome back to me.
Welcome back to me. Well, I am so happy to have you here. But I'm so sad we're wrapping up. We still have Christian Bale trivia on January 30th on our YouTube page. So go over there, give us a follow on YouTube, which is also where you can watch the video versions of these episodes of the Christian Bale ones. We also have video versions of every podcast episode, like the most recent ones. Hopefully I'm going to have all the back catalog on there at some point, and you can just listen to those. But if you want to see quote unquote Christian, you can go and watch the video version of this. And then in October, we will also be doing a special episode covering the upcoming movie, The Bride, which I am so flippin' excited for this movie. So please don't let us down, Christian.
He would, I wouldn't say he would never. I would say he would rarely.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But today, of course, we are talking about the 2000 film Shaft.
Can you dig it?
I should have been bookmarking all of these so I could do a compilation. But I'm going to give you the IMDb description, cast information, and then some trigger warnings. So from IMDb, New York City police detective John Shaft, nephew of the original 1970s detective, goes on a personal mission to make sure the son of a real estate tycoon is brought to justice after a racially motivated murder. It is, a second here, sorry. The way IMDb is laid out on the web, just a second here. Okay. It is directed and co-written by the late John Singleton. It is based on the novel by Ernest Tideman, and the story was by John Singleton and Shane Celerino, and the screenplay is by Richard Price, John Singleton, and Shane Celerino. It stars Samuel L. Jackson as John Shaft, Vanessa Williams as Carmen Vasquez, an almost unrecognizable to me. I had to do and really double check that this was Jeffrey Wright, but Jeffrey Wright as Peoples Hernandez, who he's so unrecognizable. And I know this was 25 years ago, so maybe that's why. No offense, Jeffrey. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's mostly the hair. It's mostly the hair, I have to say.
That's probably it. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Christian Bale as Walter Wade Jr., Busta Rhymes as Rasan, Dan Hayda as Jack Roselli, Toni Collette as Diane Palmieri, sorry, Richard Roundtree as Uncle John Shaft, and tons of people. I'll stop there. I'll just be sitting here naming people for the rest of this. Trigger warnings for, of course, police, cops. Just a broad trigger warning there. Police violence, corrupt cops
everywhere. Yeah.
Cops everywhere. Yes. Also, of course, for racism, violence, drug use, but there's not really much drug use shown, but there's mention of drugs. I think that's it. The biggest one, of course, is cops. I mean, really, cops and racism. So that always goes hand in hand anyway. So
pretty much.
Yeah. Well, even though he is very much a co-star and he plays a disgusting, despicable human being in this, Walter Wade Jr., who is the person who is the murderer in this. And so, as we always do, since it is his month, what are your thoughts, Carla, on Christian's performance in this movie?
Well, I could dig Christian Bale in anything. I cannot dig his character, which means that he did a good job. So he was absolutely despicable. He was like just awful.
Yeah.
And you could really buy him as this pampered, pretty boy, rich guy who doesn't have much of a care in the world, because even when he's like running from the law, he's running from the law in Switzerland. It's not like, he's not like Toni Collette's character, Diane, who is hiding out. For some reason, she didn't leave the city, which I'm like,
I know, it's just so weird.
I know, like, and she was, she got $100,000 worth of hush money. That $100,000 is not a lot now, but back in 2000, it was still a good amount of cash. So you should have taken the money and done something with it. But anyway, aside from that, back to the Bale of things. I thought he was so good. If this had been the first role in which I saw him, I would have hated him for the rest of my life. Okay, not really. Like, I can separate actors from their work, but it was just so good, and I wanted to punch him in the face, and it was so satisfying that Chef did it for me 2 times in a row. I was so it was like so satisfying. I was like, oh yes, that felt good. And then he did it again. You're like, oh, thank you. You really scratched that itch. But he did such a good job, and I think like a lot of actors would have really just hammed it up in this role. But as Christian often does, he has a more subtle approach to it. There's more nuance to the character where he is just an absolute piece of crap with no redeeming qualities, but there's like still a human there. It's not all caricature, which I appreciate as a viewer of the movie, because I mean, like, you have so many other of these characters who were just like a plug and play kind of thing, where you could have put in anybody in that role and the performance would have been the same. But even in something that even in a role that he took primarily so that he could be in a fight scene with Samuel L. Jackson. Yes, he clearly had fun in this movie, but he still did his job. He really put in work into this. It's not just like he was just like there, like, okay, let's fight, Sam. Like no, it was like a real thing. And I'm really bummed that they apparently cut out like the the fight that they were supposed to have in the airport, which apparently they did film, was cut from the final movie. So now I'm like, hunt down that footage so that I can watch it, so that I can, honor Christian's work. Because and like this is part of that huge amount of movies that Christian Bale was in the early 2000s, where he was just
Yeah,
in like 50,000 roles.
it's true.
So it's so funny to me that the one that he was like, oh my god, this is just like a fanboy moment, like, oh, I'm so excited to be with the bad mother, shut your mouth, I'm just talking about Sam Jackson. Like it was gonna be Shaft. So I'm proud of Christian for getting that for himself. Good guy, way to get it. Follow your dreams, bro.
Yeah, it's proof once again. I think people unfairly, and I understand because he does a lot of intense work and intense roles, but people don't realize that Christian Bale is really not this very like actor when he's not
Mhm.
acting. He's very much like a big dork. He's like all of us.
Yes.
Like if you watch this one interview he did around the time of, I can't remember, it was a Big Short or something else. And he's playing this game with the interviewer, and I'll put it in the comments if I can find it. And they're doing like this or that. And it's a bunch of things that he keeps saying, I don't care, either one. I don't know. Either one, I'll kill both of them. And then it gets to Star Wars, and he turns into like a little kid. And he's just like, oh no, can I keep both of them since I killed two on the other ones? Can I? And it's like that's when you realize, oh, this is a dork. He loves playing video games. And yes, that was why he took this role. And it's just like a geek out, like he can be a fanboy too, kind of thing. And I just really appreciate that. And that's doing these months has really, really um taught me and made me appreciate who Christian Bale is off camera, where for all that it appears, all appearances, he appears to be just a very anti Hollywood, doesn't take himself too seriously. And I think people think the opposite of him. And a lot of that, I think, is not
Yeah.
just the roles, but also because, of course, what happened when he did Terminator, and which he's spoken about, and he knows he was in the wrong. And I'm sure when we cover that movie, we'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, but I think so. I think that's why. But as far as how he is in this, yes, this character is despicable, absolutely disgusting. And I clapped both times that Samuel L. Jackson punched him, that Shaft punched him, because I'm like, yes, yes, punch him again. Every time he got hit in this movie, I was so happy. um, and he, what he realizes, what Christian realizes, is he is not the center of this movie. So that's why having the performance be quieter works, because if he hammed it up, it would be like trying to steal the spotlight from the other actors and from the other characters. And he's not doing that. And also, he very easily, since they were around the same time, he could have made this a very Patrick Bateman esque character. And you can see a little bit of that in here, but it still differentiates itself from Patrick Bateman. And he very easily could have just been lazy and phoned it in and just done another Patrick Bateman. And so he always knows the assignment. He's always giving his all. And it's another great performance from him, because I adore this man and I absolutely despise him in this film. And that tells you how well he does. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, like you, Carla, if this had been the very first thing I'd ever seen from him, I don't know if I would have been able to watch anything else without thinking of that. because and that's how good he does. That's how much I hate him in this movie. His character, not his performance is good, but I hate his character because of that. So yeah, and you can tell he's like, you can't tell. It's not like it interferes with the performance, but you can just imagine he's probably in the back of his head going, "Oh my gosh, I get to get beaten up by Samuel L. Jackson." He's probably got this little kid in him that's thinking that is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm acting alongside Samuel L. Jackson." He probably would have done any part. He wouldn't even care. He probably
Right?
would have played like an extra that was there for like 2 minutes. So
Here,
yeah.
Mr. Shaft, here's your coffee that you asked for. Thank you, anonymous cop number 4.
And in his head, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I served coffee to." But yeah, he's always good, always reliable. So, okay, well, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Samuel L. Jackson as Shaft, the performances, and the movie overall. Our thoughts on it as a remake slash reboot, since there was another one that came out as well that was like with Shaft, with Samuel Jackson's Shaft, that his son. So it was like 3 generations, and they were fighting. I don't know if I haven't seen that one. Did you see that one, Carla?
No.
Yeah, I
I didn't
forgot
even know it
about it.
existed, to be honest.
Yeah, I forgot about it until I had IMDb open and it played the trailer for it. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Yeah, I never saw it. So when we come back, we'll dive into the meat of the film and into Samuel L. Jackson's performance. So Carla, what are your thoughts on Samuel L. Jackson as Shaft? And do you think this overall is a good reboot? What are your thoughts on the film as a whole?
Well, for the original Shaft, and I watched this with my dad like 1.5 million years ago. So my recollections of that are very spotty. I just remember enjoying it for what it was. Like with my dad, he and I watched a lot of just junk that we just enjoyed for the sake of watching stuff. Um, and when this one, anytime that there's like a reboot or whatever, I'm always like, oh, not again with this stuff. So I went into this with trepidation, thinking, okay, whatever. But I was really glad that it wasn't like he was being the original Shaft. He was being the nephew of original recipe John Shaft, and I was very glad about that because it gave him the freedom to do something a little different with the role while still like inhabiting that world, and it also made it easier on me as a viewer not comparing him to Richard Roundtree, who was just so legendary as Shaft. So, I could go into this and be like, okay, he doesn't have to be exactly the same. He doesn't have to have the same mannerisms, the same. Because Richard Roundtree he had so much Riz, he was like the Sigma with the Riz. And I'm throwing that out there for your Gen Alpha listeners. I'm sure that there are so many kids born in 2014 and 20 um, uh, 2017 who are listening with rapt attention to me talking about Sam Jackson being a Sigma. Um, but yeah, Richard Roundtree really had like just a swagger that was so much different from Samuel Jackson's. Um, so it was good that it was different. It was also good to see the original Richard Roundtree in there. Because it's always fun, I think, when you have like a remake of something and the original player comes in to kind of like just to be there just for funsies. It's like, take your original character back to school week and they're like, oh, can I do a cameo? And they're like, yeah. But he was like actually written into the story a little bit, so that was really nice to see. But Sam Jackson, I think he did a good job. He was Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson, and listen, I love the man. I think he is fun and fantastic and charismatic, and he He can really bring a lot to a movie just by his personality and the choices he makes as an actor. He is not the best actor on the planet. He is
Yeah.
not somebody who is chameleonic and who does something different with every single role. But I there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's not like it's a bad thing. Not every person needs to be a Christian Bale. Sometimes you can be Sam Jackson, be equally legendary for your own reasons. So I think he brought his Sam Jackson ness to this role. Um, and one thing that I've always really enjoyed about his performances is that glower that he does, where he looks like he's just genuinely going to punch you. It's like I will never meet you in the face, but if I do, I will punch you through the screen. Like it really comes across. Um, but there's also this fierce protectiveness that he has in his roles where you feel like the characters that his characters are protecting will be safe just because he has declared it so. So with Tony Collette's character, and I mean also because it's like it's a Shaft movie and it's not meant to be thought provoking necessarily or like particularly deep. You know that Diana's gonna be okay. So like that's fine. But you have the additional layer of it being Sam Jackson protecting her. Well, Shaft protecting her, but Sam Jackson as Shaft. So you have like that extra feeling of like, oh, giant teddy bear man is going to take care of um doe-eyed baby girl. It's gonna be okay. So I just appreciate that about him. I appreciate that. I appreciate like the depth of his sense of humor where he's taking on a role where the character seems so serious, but he himself is not a serious person. And it doesn't cheapen the character, doesn't necessarily like bring down the um it doesn't pull you out of it. It's so very much within the role, within the performance, and within the world of the movie, but with that added layer of it's more enjoyable because of who Sam Jackson is.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Sam Jackson is a movie star. That's basically that's what he is. And movie stars are always the best of actors, you know. They're just their star. And, you know, if you were to think of one person to play this role in a remake reboot, um you would think of him. I mean, he would be the first choice in your mind. And yeah, he isn't like someone that you're going to think of as an actor, but he is always good. He's always enjoyable. He's so much fun to watch. That's the thing
Yeah.
with him is he is so much fun to watch. And the way he even walked in this and the way he was really wearing those clothes. I mean, the way he wore those clothes, there's just something
Yes.
about it. It's like, I don't know, it just oozes like this sex appeal in a very different kind of way. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like it's just oozes like just like you want to be around him, but you're also like, if I say the wrong thing, he definitely will punch me. But I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's just the way that he presents himself. Um, and and I also really appreciate that they did this where it wasn't that's why in a way I probably shouldn't say remake. I should say more like reboot or sequel because it's not like they're trying to necessarily do a paint by numbers remake because they have Richard Roundtree in here. So they have the original here. And so I think that actually helps this movie be more than just a typical remake. Um, you know, of course, the propaganda and all the cop stuff, even though they don't really present most of the cops, some of them, but they, you know, Vanessa Williams' character is a good person. But other than that, most of the cops are not good people.
Oh my God, no.
So, which is good. I'm glad they present them as not good people. And
And the thing is, like,
yes,
even the ones who are good
that's true. Do
are still
bad.
doing things wrong. So it's like just it's just a crap show.
Yes. I mean, they do some things or I'm like, most of these people would be able to go free because you didn't read them their rights. And you're just like, you're just, just, shooting people left and right too. And I mean, which is, I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty accurate description, probably more than we're used to seeing. But at the same time, it does have some of that where it's is some of the cop stuff in there. But at least it seems that that John Singleton is acknowledging more the fact that cops are not the good people. So
Right.
that is a good thing. Um, and I think, Jeffrey Wright, see, unlike Samuel Jackson, Jeffrey Wright is someone who completely transforms himself and disappears into each role. He's just such an incredible actor. And that's why I say, and yes, it probably was the hair thing, but I think it was also just everything about his performance. He was really sleazy, slimy, creepy, But when his brother got killed, it was so interesting watching that emotional reaction because you
Yeah.
felt that. It was like you saw this
Yes.
person who was cold. He didn't even seem emotional when he's holding his child and like, and he doesn't seem emotional there. But the second his brother is shot and killed, you see this flips this switch and the raw emotion there. And so I think only an actor of Jeffrey Wright's caliber could have pulled that off where it really worked and was very effective and made him really scary because he was in the throes of the emotional impact of seeing his brother get shot and killed. And so everything from that point on is driven by that emotion. And so he is no longer like also kind of like cool and collected and um thinking some things through. Instead, he's just working off of pure emotion. Um, so he was Tony Collette is always great. She's Tony Collette. I mean, she's just always amazing. It is ridiculous to me though that she didn't leave. That's so stupid. I'm like, I know New York is filled with millions of people, but you still should have left. I mean, come
Yes.
on.
And again, it's $100,000 in the year 2000. Like, even
Yeah.
if you're like, oh, but I couldn't leave my family, take them with you.
Yeah, it's so silly to me. I'm like, you really
It
should
was
have
the
left.
weirdest thing.
And especially how open she was when she's just out there.
Yes, she's just out
I'm like,
but she hasn't changed a thing about herself. She hasn't dyed her hair.
except for
She
growing it a
hasn't.
little bit longer or
Oh
longer, but
yeah, my apologies. You're right. What was I thinking? Yeah, so
changes everything.
she looks basically exactly the same. She's still in the same neighborhood. Her mom still lives at the same house.
I know.
And the thing is,
I
like,
know.
her family is never like, oh, we haven't seen her since 1994. It's just like, she's not here. Okay, so she's not here currently. Right? Like, her brothers don't, they have like no subtlety whatsoever.
I
It's not like,
know.
my sister, I haven't seen her in so many years, but when she was here, she told me she didn't see nothing. It's just like they come out guns blazing, like she didn't see anything. Okay, clearly she did, or you wouldn't have.
I know.
Oh man, like
I know. That was so silly to me. I'm like, well, I mean, she's not experienced in this, so maybe that's why, but it still was so kind of ridiculous because I'm just like, seriously, you should have at least changed your hair or appearance in a more dramatic way and not like I'm just going
yes.
to grow my hair out and that will solve everything. I can be out in the open fine and dandy and that part and her brothers, yeah, no subtlety whatsoever. Uh
None.
yeah.
Oh my
Um
god, it's
yeah,
hilarious.
I know. I know. It's so ridiculous. Um And I do want to, just because he looked like he was, Buster Rhymes was having so much fun in this
Yes.
story.
I feel like nobody had as much fun in this movie set as Busta Rhymes. Like nobody. He couldn't be bothered to even act. He was just like saying the lines out there. Like there was no acting being done by Busta. He was just there for the kicks.
I know, but I loved that though. He was having so
Yes.
much fun. He was so perfect. He was like, just he's just like coming in, like it's almost like he was like walking by, and John Singleton is like, "Hey, you wanna-" like, "Oh, okay."
And this is also like that very big time when so many rappers were getting into film because you had,
Mhm.
you had like Ludacris wasn't, I feel like, in everything for a while, and there was Common, and before that, like quite a bit before that, Tupac, but the early 2000s, late 90s was just when rappers
It's
went
true.
absolutely everything. And I don't I think maybe somebody threw him a bone. It's like, Busta would love to be in something, but he doesn't have the chops. And somebody was like, you know what? Would he be okay pretending to drive a car?
Pretending to drive a car and then looking desperately through the glove
Yes.
compartment during that
Oh God.
shootout.
That moment where he's basically like a child in the car because like there's a shootout going on and he doesn't like necessarily hide. He's like frantically looking through stuff and then he hides in like the footwell of the car instead of maybe driving around or leaving or something that shows more of a sense of self-preservation.
I know, I could not believe he didn't get killed.
I
It
know.
blew my mind because I'm like, "There's no way he's surviving this." He's like
I feel like that character is gonna be like, that's how I know God is good because I basically, everybody is shooting with such precision. Well, not really just Shaft, because like everybody else was like a stormtrooper, just shooting at everything, never hitting anything. But John Shaft aims, fires, hits somebody like through the head. Just completely wild stuff.
I know, during that shootout was when you really saw it, because 'cause he'd be hiding behind, like, next to the house, and then he'd be, like, poking out,
Yeah.
and they're shooting, nothing's hitting anything, and then he's just like, boom, 1 shot, and they're dead.
Yes. I mean, you know what? If there's one thing that the Department of Police was probably very sad to see go when he quit was the fact that he kept their bullet budget really down because he didn't fire wildly. He was just like one shot and boom. It's like, we really respect your game. We don't respect your methods, but you're saving us money on bullets, John. So I guess you can stay. It's like, yes, you just beat up a suspect, not even a defendant, a suspect.
I
2
know.
times. One of those times, probably on TV. You know what though? You didn't use a bullet. So it's okay by us.
Imagine he goes to the shooting range and seeing his targets are just, like,
Just
pristine.
one bullet. It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're not gonna take any more shots," and then behind him, you see, like, 5,000 shells, like, "I did take all the shots."
Uh, one thing though, and Carla and I were talking about this before recording. Okay, so the opening credits of this movie has like a sex scene, and then you see this up close shot of a woman's nipple. And so you're like, okay, there's going to be sex in this movie. There are no sex scenes in this movie, which is so weird to me. I was like wondering, I'm like, does he not want to do a sex scene? Did they just decide no? Was there something cut? Was there, because there's sexual innuendo, but there's never a sex scene. That was so bizarre to
It
me.
was so weird. Like, you show something and then nothing. You get nothing else for the next 2 hours. Like, okay, maybe they sat down and they were like, "Okay, so, okay, we're gonna have a lot of cursing. We're gonna have a lot of bullets flying, but" and we know this is we're talking about Shaft, but we're talking about the younger Shaft, and maybe he has more uh what's it called? Like maybe he's more pure. Maybe
Yeah.
he doesn't want the hose. You can cut that part. But maybe he doesn't want to get around.
It'll be on the video version because I
Maybe he doesn't want to get around like his uncle. Maybe he this is, like um post free love era Shaft. It's like, yes, I'm Shaft, but I keep it clean. Okay. I keep it in covered up and used sparingly. That's what we're going for with this one, which is why you get a nipple and nothing more.
yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird to me because there is one scene where you're thinking, okay, they're gonna go to a sex scene, and then they just go to day, and so you don't even get
Yeah.
like the afterglow. You don't even get
Right.
like
Like, she wants the LD. He wants to give her the LD. They agree upon giving and receiving the LD, and you never see her again.
yeah, she's just gone after that.
Gone. Just the LD was too much for her, and she couldn't be available for the rest of the movie.
She's still recovering.
She's still recovering from the LD.
You
And
didn't
then
even get because she also wanted the cuddle, and you didn't get to see the
that's
cuddle
right.
afterwards.
That's right. Maybe that's what it is. She was just cuddled out. It wasn't even the LD. Maybe all they did was cuddle. That's because, yeah, yeah. But you see, Uncle Shaft leaving with two women because that's the original Shaft, and that's what he does. But Baby Shaft is like, you know what? I'm tired. Do you want to just, read a book side by side?
That
Can I
was
read a
so
tape
funny.
file and maybe you listen to an audiobook?
It cuts to that. They're just
She goes to rub up on him, and he's like, "Ma'am, respectfully, I am currently reading."
Oh man. Anyway, but
Anyway,
or they could have been predicting that the younger generation is kind of puritanical.
right.
You just are,
Yeah.
and they would have been like, "Oh my gosh!" So
They're like,
they probably
"Let's
still will.
let's get ahead of that."
Yeah, but they probably still be like, "There's way too much sex in this movie." I'm like, you mean the first
Well, we
like
saw a
two
nipple,
seconds of the
so
opening? Yeah. But on that note, on the note of the nipple, the note of the nipple, uh, we
well, hang
are
on.
okay. We're gonna do it.
Aiden, hello.
Hey, hi, Christian.
It
How
is
are
wonderful to
you?
see you. I am great. I am quite well. And I have an opinion to share on the performance of my dear friend, probably Mr. Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay, yes, I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, splendid. Because if I may, I just wanted to chime in and say that it was an absolute pleasure working with Mr. Jackson and hearing the word that I shall call Mother Father incessantly all day in every recording night. It was like a lullaby. In fact, I asked him to record it for me so that I can put it as non white noise on my sound machine for when I go to sleep. That's right. I fall asleep to the dulcet sounds of Samuel L. Jackson simply saying Mother Father over and over again as I fall away into dreamland.
Wow.
Yes, it is the perfect companion for when I fall into a marshmallow coma.
To a marshmallow coma. So, how does everybody else react to it? Do they hear it, or is it something that's just playing in like earbuds
Well,
or something?
I am a very considerate person, so I have sleeping earbuds, which I put directly into my ear holes, and I listen to every night as I fall asleep, so that's not to disturb my wife. Because
That's
again,
nice.
yes, I believe in the power of listening to Sam Jackson say Mother Father repeatedly as he fall asleep. My wife, however, does not believe in such a thing. So we have compromised in that I do not have to sleep in another room as long as I wear my earbuds.
Well, that's good. I did want to ask before I get to another question I have about this movie. I did want to ask you. You disappeared earlier today. Like you weren't able to. Carla wasn't able to find you. Did you know all along where you were, and you just thought it was funny, or does this happen to you a
Oh,
lot?
oh, you're asking about pranks. Oh, yes, Erin. I am a well known prankster, as you undoubtedly know. The world over is aware that I am such a prankster that I do silly things from time to time, like eat all the marshmallows, steal all the mom books, write funny tunes. Yes, it is all stuff that I do. However, this time I was simply minding my own business, just chilling, as it were. Um, I was going to take a nap, so I had pulled out my earbuds and I was about to listen to about 20 minutes of Mother Father so that I could take a quick little snooze, as it were, just like a little. But I was reminded that I needed to be on today, and so I was napping. I was not hiding. I was simply napping.
Uh,
So this
yeah.
one is not on me.
Well, speaking of Samuel Jackson, your great friend, your dear, dear friend. So you got to be punched by him. You got into a fight that was cut from the film. But how was that experience? Like, how excited were you?
Oh, and then well, first, when the script came across my desk, I read it and I was thinking to myself, I don't know. Can you please tell me who is in this film? And it told me, oh, it is starring Samuel L. Jackson. And immediately I thought, so I get to be punched by Samuel L. Jackson? I was told, yes. Yes, I will be punched by Sam Jackson. Not only once, but at least twice. And that is when my fangirl kicked in and I went, for I was so excited, Erin, so
Oh,
excited that I simply signed on the dotted line immediately. There is no joy like getting punched in a film by Sam Jackson. I recommend it to everybody as a fundamental way to become a real actor.
like they should teach that in acting class. That should be an acting class.
It should be a requirement before you are considered to be an actor's actor. Before anybody speaks of you as somebody who um, should be cast in important things, before you are considered to be in a Marvel movie, for example, you should be uh, punched in the face more than once by Sam Jackson. Otherwise, it does not count. Now, I will admit that I had a small headache
Aw.
briefly soon after, but you know, I was reminded that they were fake punches. So then I was right as rain right away.
You were reminded they were fake punches.
Well, as you know, I take acting very seriously.
Yes.
So though the punches were fake, in my body they felt very real.
Oh man, Christian. We are wrapping up your month. We will be back, of course, for that day for your trivia. I won't say what it's celebrating.
I
Because
appreciate
I know.
that.
Yeah, I've learned. And we will be back in October to talk about the bride. But once again, thank you for being a part of our podcast. It's such a gift to see you every January.
Well, Erin, fret not. Now, let me assuage your fears. Let me uh, calm you down a little bit by saying that though the next January is a year away, a year does go by rather quickly in this world, and I am, although I won't be here I will be there, and then I will be here again.
Okay.
Does that help?
That yes, that helps. Thanks.
Oh, I am so glad.
Will you be tuning in this Sunday to watch our Fandom Choice Award nominations?
I can
Because
neither confirm nor deny.
okay,
I do
because you
not want
might.
to jinx anything.
That's true. You don't want to do that because you might be nominated. They will have already aired when this drops, and everybody watching on YouTube, you can go watch them, the replay of them. But yeah, so you know, you could be nominated. You don't know.
I might be, I might not be. I shall not tempt the hands of fate.
Good call. Well, before I let you go, we are going to jump to a break. Let's just jump to a commercial, and when we come back, Christian, we will play 6 Degrees of Finn. This is your favorite game, so I'm assuming you
Oh,
play.
it is absolutely my favorite game, for which I am so very prepared as usual. For
Okay,
that
well,
is what I do best.
okay, great. Well, when we come back from this break, Christian is going to give us his 6 degrees of Finn Whitrock. So we'll be right back. Okay, so Christian, how did you connect Mr. Finn Whitrock to Shaft?
Well, I thought very hard about how I would approach this because I thought to myself, I have been in many movies and I have watched many movies also in preparation for being in many movies. And um, there are so many actors in the world, and so many of them are in this film. So
It's true.
I went and I looked, and I was going to choose the actress Vanessa Williams. However, did you know, Erin, that there is more than one Vanessa Williams?
Yes, I did.
Were you aware? You were aware. Fantastic. So I went and I definitely made sure to click on the correct Vanessa Williams. However, I was thwarted in my efforts. Um,
Oh,
and yes, yes. So I chose to not use Vanessa Williams because it became too difficult, far too difficult to find the right one. Uh, for they are both such talented Vanessa Williamses.
yeah.
Vanessa, for plural, Vanessa. So instead, I went with the also very talented, also beautiful Jeffrey Wright. And
Okay.
Jeffrey Wright was in The Laundromat with Rosalind Chow, who was in Plus One with my dear friend Finn Whitrock.
That was great. I don't know if we've ever used plus one. So great job. Great
Oh,
job,
I'm
Christian.
so happy to be a pioneer.
You are. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to hear mine before you go, I used
Of
Jeffrey Wright.
course.
I used Jeffrey Wright as well, but I have a different connection. So Jeffrey Wright was in the film Syriana with William Hurt, who was in Winter's Tale with Finn Whitrock and also with my future husband and your dear friend Colin Farrell.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, um, my dear friend Colin Farrell and my dear friend Finn Whitrock were together in a movie, and that is good to remember for when I text um Colin to put in a good word for you.
Yes, did you cut down the texting though, where you were doing it like so many times a day?
Well, he did unblock me, so that helped.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad he unblocked you. And some one of these years we will be talking about The New World, the film you did with Colin. So we will talk
Fantastic.
about that at some
I
point.
look
So
forward
yes.
to that.
Well, thank you so much again, Christian. You are a joy to us all. So thank you again for joining us this month.
Oh, it has been my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to visit Carla, whatever she may roam, whatever the marshmallow may be.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Ta-ta for
Well,
now. We'll see you
to
on
talk for
January
now.
30th.
Indeed, for no good reason, just because, just for funsies.
Just because. Oh man. Oh,
Well, I guess
that
it wasn't
guy.
hiding. It was just taking a nap in my room,
Just
just
taking out your-
taking over my entire space, but whatever.
Does he know the word boundaries and what that means? I mean, geez.
I mean, I feel like technically he knows, he has seen the word written. I don't know that he knows its meaning.
He's seen the word written.
I'm sure he's read it somewhere. He has seen books.
Oh man, I'm sure he's had to say the word boundary in one of his
I'm
roles.
sure. Yes. Maybe like boundary to outer space. I don't know. I don't know all of his dialogue.
Is he Terminator. I'm like, has he done any sci-fi? Oh, Terminator, and then there's also the one with the dragons.
No, the dragons.
We haven't done that one yet.
No, I
But
was just like laughing because I'm like, right.
yeah,
We have to
the
talk about
dragons.
dragons sometime.
Why am I forgetting the name of that movie? I know everybody's yelling at us right now. I understand, but I just and we should know. We should know above
Well,
everybody
as the
else.
foremost experts of Christian Bale, of his oeuvre, we should know this.
I know we should by this point we should be able to go on a trivia competition.
Yes,
We'll know how well. Carla, I'm the one who comes up with the questions, so I never
that's
play.
right. But by 2030, you and I should be absolute experts.
Yeah, we should be able to do like a panel at we
Oh
should do
my
a panel
God.
sometime at a convention about Christian Bale.
Yes. And just have
I'm
everybody come in with
serious.
like Bale masks. Yes.
But we could do like a serious panel about Christian Bale. That would be
We
so much
should.
fun. We
Yes. I
really should
agree.
do that at some point.
Can you
Rain of
imagine?
Fire. Yeah, I know that'd be so much fun. Rain of Fire. Sorry, Rain of Fire is the dragon movie. The
I
dragon.
knew that so much. I knew it so hard, man.
Oh man. So we do have a bunch more though. We have that. We have Knight of Cups. I'm mentioning it because I've never seen that one. Exodus, Gods and Knights. We have Thor. We have a Thor movie.
That's right. That's right. Maybe we should just do all of those in one year.
I know. I was thinking that. I'm like, we should just one year. It should just be like his movies that are like more sci-fi or something like that. Or
Yes.
yeah.
Like
So
Christian is your fantasy year.
oh man. Okay. Well, on that note, Christian, don't get a big head about that. Because I really am very proud of us that we are, who knows how it'll be when we're doing the commentary track when the shower scene is playing, but we have been very respectful of Christian.
Honestly, like we manage.
We do. There's been a few times where it hasn't been, but we've been very respectful of Christian.
Listen, Christian Bale out there who is eventually going to be interviewed by Erin. Um, she is super respectful,
Yes.
even when your body's very hot. So I think that she is the best and only person who should be interviewing you now and forever.
Aw.
Just
Aw.
my unbiased opinion.
Aw, thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah, and I know
welcome.
you
She
hate.
probably won't even talk about your body.
Yeah, I won't talk about your body unless it's necessary to the conversation. Yeah, and I know you hate interviews. I know you do not like interviews at all. But I will make the process painless. I really will. And I'll make it so that hopefully you'd have fun. But yeah, that's you're on the top of my bucket list. So it's gonna happen at some point. It's
Yep.
gonna, yeah. You're even above my future husband. Because I don't know if I could do an interview with my future husband.
I feel like, you know what, you should probably just interview Colin Farrell and Jensen Ackles. 2 for 1, get it out of the way.
Together. Well, hey,
Because maybe it'll cancel out.
yeah. Well, I wasn't nervous at the Supernatural convention, though. I was amazed. I was just like, hey, I just walked in like, hello. And then that made all the interactions with him like that. He gave me the exact same energy back. So it was a very welcoming interactions. So because my nerves were just gone, I was amazed. So maybe it would be, I doubt it would be that way with Colin Farrell, but maybe it would be.
Yeah, maybe it would. Maybe being in the same room, the when the bells of destiny are ringing for the both of you, and
Bells
he gets
of
down on one
Destiny.
knee. It's like one knee at first sight. It'll be so natural. It'll be
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Yeah. So, Colin, I know you listened to this. So, come on, we'll talk.
And you will talk. It's okay. She will talk to you respectfully. It's fine. Don't
I
worry.
will try my hardest. That's what she said.
It's so funny. It's
That's
so
what
funny
I
that
don't
like
know.
with every other actor, it's like guarantee I will absolutely be super professional. And with Farrell, it's like I will do my best.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yes, but no, for all of the publicists out there, I will be professional. I promise. I know there are a lot of people that interview people and they just, they get all fanny, and it'll be inside. I'll be feeling that way, but I will
Right.
not let
But
that
you
show.
will correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting 2 inches away from Omar Epps, and I didn't do that. So
There was no drooling, guys. No drooling. All the drooling was
no.
happening on the inside, which
Yeah.
it's a choking hazard, but she's willing to do that for you.
Yep. Okay, well, on that note, we are going to wrap up. So we're going to close out. And Carla, let everybody know where they can, from Bedwetter Behead Pod, that you co-host with Meg. Let everyone know where that podcast can be found and where you can be found.
Well, you can find Behead Podcast in any podcast carrying place where you found this one. You can also find our social media wherever our social media presence can be found. And you can look for it and you can find it or maybe not. But isn't life a journey? Isn't that what we're about as humans? Finding and discovering, perhaps failing, perhaps not. Be a human and look for us. You can also look for me, my art, and my musings on Instagram, maybe TikTok if it's still around. Actually, if you're not in the States, it's probably still around where you are. And you can look for my TikTok
That's true.
and the account may still exist. Who knows? It's a roll of the die right now. But you can definitely find my Blue Sky, which I just created like 15 minutes ago. It's like, oh, actually, no, because I created a different account. Haha, you can't find that one. But it's going to be Carla Temis and then whatever else Blue Sky people use. But you can also definitely find my website at carlatemis.com. That's CarlaTemis.com.
Awesome, because I was just going the second you said that, I went and I opened up Blue Sky, and I was just about to follow you there, but then you said no.
And then I realized, no, I still have to create that one.
So I'm like, no, I guess I won't be following you
JK,
there.
guys. But in the next 15 minutes, which will be several days and 15 minutes after I create it, so then you can look for me.
Yes.
You're fine.
Yep. Well, she's probably no longer on TikTok, but Fergie the dog, she actually didn't watch this movie with me, but I think she would have been like excited about this movie, honestly, because there would have been a lot of stuff going on.
Are you saying
A
she
lot
could
of
dig it? Right on. She has good taste. What, Erin?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about Shaft.
But you could follow her, and maybe you still can, on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. And we are listened to around the world, so maybe you can still do that in other countries as well. I will be creating an Instagram account probably for her, and it'll probably be the same handle unless that's already taken, which I don't know why that would already be taken.
That would be weird.
If it is, that's kind of freaky. Be sure to like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/It's a Fandom Thing Pod, on Twitter at Fandom Thing Pod. No, it's in that one. On Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky Social, and maybe TikTok at It's a Fandom Thing Pod. If you have any feedback, show notes, Colin's publicists, Christian's publicist number one. If you'd like to be a potential interview guest on the show, feel free to reach out to me via the website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. Click the contact us button there. That'll shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And while you're there, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. For as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free episodes, you get episodes released a day early, you sometimes win prizes, and you get bonus content. Like, it'll be out soon after this is released. Carla and I are going to be doing a commentary track for American Psycho, so there might be a little bit of ogling during the shower scene. So you'll want to become a Patreon supporter today. Link in the show notes, or go to the support us tab on our website. And next week, Carla is back, and we are going to be talking about, and this was our Patreon. Our patrons helped select this episode, so that's another reason to become a Patreon supporter. We are going to be talking about the incredible Ella Fitzgerald, and that is how we are kicking off Black History Month. Yes, it's starting a week early, but that's because of the way the Oscars are this year, and I wanted to make sure we got in 4 episodes. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.